What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. Hey, today we're going to reveal all the details and top secret guide tricks on how to fish the best tournament fishing technique specifically for Lake Fork. Cody Mays.
What's up, brother?
My man, coming in hot. Listen, here's what's going on today. We got tournament season fastly approaching. Bass Champs is coming up this weekend, right? And after that, it's kind of Katie bar the door on the tournaments at Lake Fork. Now, we've got some tough conditions on Lake Fork. The water, we're not on Lake Fork right now when we're filming this, but right down the road on Lake Fork, man, the water's come up high. It's gotten dirty, okay? Now, probably the best tournament fishing technique for Lake Fork, and really the one that's probably made the most money in all the tournaments throughout the years, cold water, hot water, it don't matter, is going to be the drop shot. Lake Fork's a weird lake for tournaments, bud. You know what I mean? Because we got that slot limit. If you don't know, it's 16 to 24 inches. You can't keep anything between those numbers. Right. So you got to catch really small fish or really, really big fish, right? That's kind of the deal on Lake Fork. And I'll be honest with you, Cody, man, when it comes to pre-spawn, I don't know that I could probably fish a dozen tournaments in the month of February and never weigh a fish in. Everything I catch in the month of February is between 16. Every once in a while I may get an over, but most of the fish, almost every fish I catch is between 16 and 24 inches. So I have no idea how to tell you guys how to have tournament success on Lake Fork, but I happen to know a guy. I know this guy. He's had a little tournament success on Fork. Dude, you've had a phenomenal history of tournament. Your first year when you fished tournaments on Lake Fork, how much did you win in just weekend tournaments?
$50,000.
$50,000 in cash and prizes in his first year tournament fishing on Lake Fork, my man did. You might want to listen up when he tells you how to fish tournament techniques on Fork. A drop shot is one that I know you're fond of, right?
Very fond, especially this time of year.
This time of year, that's what I was wondering about it. That's still good this time of year. I know I've always heard it is, and especially probably under these conditions where it's gotten really tough.
Yeah, correct. So like, you know, these fish will kind of gather around these brush piles in deeper water as they're kind of transitioning up to go back into the pockets. You know, a good thing.
When they get shot with cold weather, it puts them on a holding pattern, right?
Correct.
Brush pile's a good spot, yeah.
And so the drop shot, just working it real methodically and real slow on those brush piles is very, very productive. So, you know, like me, I fish it a lot different. You know, most people have a little small.
Well, hold on. We're going to sit you down and get all the gear out and everything.
Okay.
We're fixing to give you guys all the goods, man. We're going to give you all the details on how to fish a drop shot from the tournament. By the way, my man's full-time guiding now. He has no other jobs anymore.
That's correct.
No other jobs. Full-time guiding. He just made this transition this week. So if you need a guide trip, I couldn't recommend anybody more than Cody Mays right here, especially if you're trying to prepare for a tournament. This is your guy. He had a lot of dates just open up because he just went full-time, just quit his other job, and we need to get his calendar filled up. So you check it out at yourlakeforkguide.com. You can book us there.
Yep,
right?
That's right.
That's it. All right, let's talk drop shot, man. Let's go down.
All right.
All right, Mays, let's hear it, man.
All right.
Talk to me first about what is our setup on the drop shot.
The setup as far as what?
Rod, reel, and line.
All right, so on the reel, it's a 7.5-1 lose. The rod is a 7.9 medium. I don't like throwing a spin cast.
Say that again.
It's a 7.9 medium.
7.9 medium.
Yeah.
That's a really long medium action rod.
It is, and it has
Is that a crappie rod?
No, it's actually a crankbait rod.
Is it? Oh yeah, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's got a lot of, it's got a lot of tip to it to where I can feel, you know, because you know me, I don't have a lot of feel in my left arm, so I've kind of got to change things up sometimes. Yeah. But it's a lot of rod. I mean, I've caught overs on it and boat flipped them. So
wow.
I mean, it's got a lot of base to it. It ain't gonna fail. You know what I'm saying?
7.9 medium. I've never heard that before for drop shot. That's interesting. I like it.
But it has a lot. It's very sensitive. I mean, I can feel every little pebble, rock, or anything on the bottom. So.
All right. What about the line?
All right. So the line, I'm using a 17-pound Seaguar Red Label.
Man, you're rigging this drop shot up for Lake Fork a little bit heavier than the standard drop shot.
Yeah. So this is more like a reverse Carolina rig.
Reverse Carolina rig.
Yeah, as I'm jacked with Ozio about it, I call it the power shot.
Power shot?
Yeah, it's not as gay.
It's Texas drop shot.
Yeah.
It's not as gay. Well, that's the thing about the drop shot, right? Like you win tournaments using a drop shot. You can't win a tournament using a drop shot. You still look gay doing it.
That's right.
That's what we always say.
That's right.
That's our little joke.
That's why I upsized it.
Yeah, so it's not as gay.
That's right.
Got it. Okay. So line's 17 pound. The rod is a 7.9 medium. The reel is a 7.5 to 1. On the reel, being 7.5 to 1, I mean, I assume that's just because, I mean, you're never really presenting the bait with the turn of the reel handle.
Correct.
You're only moving the bait with the rod, right? You're
Yeah.
never moving the bait to present it with the reel handle. The only time you turn the reel handle is to reel the bait back in and make another cast, or to reel a fish in.
That's correct.
And in both those situations, the faster gear ratio you have, the better.
Right, especially when you're fishing brush or docks.
Yep. Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that kind of goes into the next thing, you know. So in these tournaments, that's what I always focus on, are these brush piles. And now that Lake Fork has come up, now that we have water under these docks, those fish really, truly are not used to seeing a drop shot pitched under a dock.
Right.
And it took a long time for us to figure it out, but how to pitch and skip a drop shot with a 1 foot leader under a dock, it was very, very
Probably
difficult.
an art to that, I imagine.
It's very big art, but it's very successful.
Okay.
Because those fish are not used to seeing that drop shot or that presentation underneath that dock.
Interesting.
So you shoot it under there as far as you can up against all the post, and just kind of, you know, just slowly jiggle it and wiggle it and keep it on there as long as you can. And
What about the hook and the worm? What are we using there?
all right, so the hook is a 2/0 or 3/0 decoy is the brand name.
Decoy
Yeah.
is the brand name. He's got a little, if you notice, there's a little swivel right on the end of that hook right there. That's going to make tying your drop shot real easy. Ain't it?
Very easy.
Ain't
Yes.
going to prevent all the line twists from the helicopter routine.
Yep.
And that's a 2/0 EWG style hook.
Yep.
And what worm are we putting on there most of the time?
All right, so I'm always using a 4 3/4 inch Zoom worm in June bug red.
This is a finesse worm.
Mm-hmm.
June bug red, great color on Lake Fork. Even when the water's not dirty, that's a great color on Lake Fork.
All year round.
4 3/4 inch Zoom finesse worm. Basic, simple. All right.
And you know, every company makes that worm, so it don't have to be necessarily a Zoom worm. Like this one is the Buddy's Custom Baits.
That's a
And-
local guy to Fork.
Yeah, and
Tomato seed.
his tomato seed is very good this time of year. And the difference with his is his has a lot more action and they float more
Okay.
because they don't, you know.
Probably less salt or maybe no salt. Looks
There-
like
there's no salt.
No salt. There
So
you
it's
go.
got a lot more action to
No
it.
salt's a big deal in plastics. It gives a lot more buoyancy and action.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
In fact, many companies should be going no salt. If you want to know why the big brand name companies put salt in there, it's literally so that their baits will tear up more. Your baits tear up more when you have salt in them, and they literally put salt in there. Number one, they get to use less plastic. Number two, their baits tear up faster, so you have to buy more.
that's right.
No salt in most baits, other than like a Cinco. No salt in a plastic is it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yep. A lot more presentation that lasts longer. Everything. So,
Right now, with the watercolor being off and being stained in so much of Lake Fork, are those the colors you're going to use, June bug red and tomato?
that's the colors I'll use.
Okay, so
Yep.
you don't ever change to a black and blue or anything like that?
No, I sure don't. The only time I change colors is later in post spawn, whenever the shad spawn really starts.
Yeah.
I change to more of a shad color.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
but other than that, I'm throwing the red or the June bug red all year round. So
Beautiful. Very
Yeah.
nice. Well, there's the setup. That's pretty easy. Now, you mentioned some of the area stuff. You're talking about docks and brush piles. I know if you look at Lake Fork, boy, there's a bunch of docks.
yeah.
And Lord knows there's plenty of timber and plenty of brush in Lake Fork, almost everywhere you go. How do you narrow down which ones to fish this time of year?
Well, so what I'm trying to focus on is points closer to your creek channels or pond dams or even road beds, because those fish are going to use those as a highway when they're working their way back. So that's where I try to focus on, trying to find that brush pile or those docks is closer to a creek channel, creek bend, or so on. So
That's one thing I like to tell people about Lake Fork is you got to forget that all that wood's in there. You got to fish the bottom contours and the bottom content, man. That's so important. And I agree. And you've heard me preach on the channel. If y'all been watching, creek channel is the most important structure on Lake Fork this time of year. That is how those fish. I don't know that I don't know how true it is that they travel up and down in the channel following it, but I know this: they dang sure set up and stop around the channel on their way in and out to spawn.
Yep.
One thing I like to add in there is I like to look for areas. If you do enough reading and research, you can find some areas that are notorious for having good spawning, like in a glade, right?
Yeah.
In a little caney, right? In birch, these are areas. The pockets in there are known to have a lot of spawning bass. Well, I like to focus this time of year on the creek channels in the middle of those places, more so than some of the creek channels in other places. Long Branch is another good one. There's a bunch of good ones on Lake Fork, but is that something you think about too? Hey, where is there normally a lot of spawning bass? Let's find the creek channel close to that, and then find a dock or a brush pile or something around that channel.
that's exactly what I do. And like you said, double branch. So anywhere up in birch.
And that's birch. Yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
pockets in birch that they spawn in real
Yeah,
good.
birch, white oak.
Yeah.
White oak's got a lot of good creek channels and timber in it. Just like how, you know, I know you at this time of year, you're following those creek channels and you're pitching at the big wood with a jig or a Texas rig. I'm using a drop shot when I do that too.
Yeah, so I've heard that from some guys and they have success. And that's probably the reason why I don't ever catch the unders, is because I'm using a bigger jig, bigger profile bait. You know, jig's a big fish bait. And you're going to that same area with a drop shot and you're catching those tournament fish, a lot of them under 16 inches. And the weird thing about the drop shot is, for whatever reason, you'll consistently catch those 2-pounders, right? Those money tournament fish, 15-inch fish. And then every once in a while, you'll catch that 25-incher.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it'll show up on that drop shot.
Yeah, it's definitely a bait that you can catch both with. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
Well,
that's pretty good on the areas. I think that's pretty good, you know, analyze, whatever you want to call it. You know, listen, we're fishing guys, folks. We ain't public speakers. So bear with us. But you know what I'm saying? That's a pretty good breakdown of the area, right? Get an area that you know fish are going to spawn a lot, right? A popular creek that a lot of people fish in March and April and May. Get to the creek channel in there and then find you some brush, find you some docks that are adjacent, real close to, or even on at times that creek channel. I know, like you mentioned, White Oak, there's a dock where the creek channel makes a big old bend right under the end of the dock. I'm sure it's probably one of your docks you fish. Yeah. And it's a dock I throw a jig on this time of year, so it makes sense. But that's pretty much the area we're looking for. So other than that, I guess what we got to go over is how do we present this bait to the fish to get them to bite.
Right.
So we're going to get up on the front deck right now and show you guys that.
We're sitting on this point right here. It's got a lot of timber, a lot of brush piles on it. So, you know, a lot of people traditionally will just kind of throw a drop shot straight down, kind of dead stick it or whatever. But like what I said earlier, I work this thing like a reverse Carolina rig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a long cast out on this point, and I'm actually going to drag it back, okay?
Show me your finished setup there real quick, just so people can see how long. One thing we didn't cover, how long of a leader you got going on there, Mace.
So most time it's anywhere from 1 foot to 2 foot of a leader.
So that's our final setup with the red worm. How heavy of a weight are we using?
I'm using a 3/8. That's what I use all year round.
That's pretty much what you use?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and the good thing about the long leader is you're not just stuck with that, you know, a short one on, you know, just 6 inches off the ground. You can actually fluctuate it and have a little more action and play with it. So if those fish are a little bit suspended off the bottom, then you can get it more in their face. So
making a cast out on the point here. All right. Gonna wait till that thing hits the bottom, I assume?
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna let it drop to the bottom. All right, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag it about 2 to 3 feet. And once we drag it to that 2 to 3 feet, then we're gonna reel down the slack and we're gonna keep it tight with the rod tip up and just set there. And you don't even have to work it a whole lot of action, because that worm's gonna do its thing under the water, especially with the wind. It's gonna do its own little thing. So sometimes you can play with it. You know, sometimes these fish, they don't want it with a whole lot of presentation. So you can be still, and then, you know, on your next drag in, then maybe try to give it a little pop, you know, and just try to work it, see what they're wanting as you're dragging it in. And once you get a bite, key in on what you were doing to get that bite.
One thing I want people to take notice of is just how little and how slow you're moving this bait. Like, that bait's not moving forward very fast at all. It's pretty much sitting still almost.
Yeah.
So that's it, pretty much drag it. Now, hook set, is there anything different you do on hook set? With you having the setup you have, you've got an EWG style hook, you got 17-pound line and a 7/9 medium action rod.
Yeah.
I imagine you probably set that thing like a Texas rig, don't you?
I do. I drive it in their brain as hard as I can.
Okay.
You know, don't be scared. And that's why I use bigger line, you know, because also on fork, you know what's in the bottom of fork. You got to have bigger line. You know, you don't want to go out there with, you know, 8, 10-pound, 12-pound test and regret your decision because you get on a twig and it breaks off so easy. So,
well, especially right now with the watercolor, you don't need to.
Nope, that's right. Yeah. So, but just work it back slow and steady.
All right, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Pretty simple technique there, ain't it?
Yes,
Throw
sir.
it out there and just almost let it sit still, drag it a little bit, and we're good to go.
That's right.
Good deal. Hey guys, with the recent rise in water level Lake Fork, we're back up to about 2.5 foot low at this point. And hey man, that's good news for your Lake Fork Guide Pro lanes. Now last year, when they draw the lake down to 6 foot, I idled to every corner of Lake Fork, marking navigation lanes throughout Lake Fork. And now that we're above 3 foot low, you can navigate to just about every corner of Lake Fork using your Lake Fork Guide Pro lanes. We have multiple running depths at 6 foot low as well as 3 foot low. We also have hazard waypoints, over 1,500 of them. Whenever hazards get close to the lane, we've got them marked on there, so you'll know if you want to take the risk to run that, how tight it is, how wide it is. You'll have all the information that you need to navigate Lake Fork just like a pro. Well, Cody, man, I can't thank you enough, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
you
it.
sharing that with us, guys. That's how my man right there, Cody Mays, fishes the drop shot on Lake Fork to have tournament success. He's had plenty of it. I would highly recommend heeding this man's advice when it comes to that. I'm sure some of you guys at Bass Champs might even profit from watching this video. It pays to watch your Lake Fork Guide, Maze.
That's right.
It pays to watch Maze on your Lake Fork Guide.
A little grown-up session.
Yeah, we're writing songs, we're writing lyrics. You know, listen, we do it all. Listen, Dick, I'm the best there is. I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence.
All right.
You the first or you last?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with my hands right now.
I don't know. The car ran real good?
Yeah.
The car ran real good. You just put him down by your side there.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Y'all know I'm camera shy, so.
Yeah, he is a little camera shy. Like, what's funny is he acts all like nervous when he's talking to me here. You get that joker around my fire pit at the house, you can't get him shut up.
That's right.
Man, thanks again, Cody. Most importantly, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we appreciate it sincerely. We get to live our dream. Cody's just starting his path really full-time into that dream life, and I've been doing it for a few years now, and it's only because of every one of you that watches and those of you that book trips and everything else. But even if you don't, just watching the videos helps us more than you could ever know. So thank you very much. Share this thing if you don't mind, and we'll see you next time right here. Where are we going to see them, Maze?
On your Lake Fork Guide.
That's right.